Hey, Mark Mascola here. I want to welcome you to the Powerless to Powerful video for today. This video is from the Elevate Your Recovery video series we created. It's called Understand These 7 Things First. Now, whether you've been on the positive side of addiction for 10 minutes, 10 weeks, or 10 years, you know there's a handful of things that we have to do to go from powerless to powerful. Today's video explains 7 of them. So enjoy today's video. You'll start understanding a little bit more about finding purpose for your recovery and purpose for your life because of your recovery. Again, today's video, understand these 7 things first. Enjoy. Welcome to Powerless to Powerful. This is a man's definitive guide to a passionate, purposeful life on the positive side of addiction. Today's video is from the Elevate Your Recovery video series, and it is entitled, Understand These 7 Things First. What do I have to do to guarantee I will be successful in my recovery? Now, over the past 20 plus years on the positive side of my addiction, I wouldn't be able to guess how many times I've been asked that question. Now, I've heard countless people throw around percentages about success and failure rates in recovery. I personally never cared about the percentages. To me, it didn't matter if 1% made it or if 99% made it. I was going to do whatever it took to quit living the way I was living. But I know there's one thing for sure. I have come to understand that there is a purpose for my recovery and a purpose for my life because of recovery. Now, I'll touch on this again in a minute, but for now, know that my mission is to help raise the percentage rates of long-term success in recovery and success in life by helping people compress time and learn some of the lessons that I learned in less time than it took me to learn them. That brings me to number 1 of 7. Number 1 is to understand the word decision, and then ask yourself a simple question that requires a simple answer. The word decision means to cut off all other options. Pretty simple, right? So here's the question, and know that until you answer this question, your addiction will continue to control you. Have you made a decision to live on the positive side of addiction? In other words, have you cut off all other options other than to live on the positive side of addiction? A simple question that requires a simple but profound answer. That brings me to number 2. Number 2 is the word willingness. Another simple word and a simple question. Be willing. To be willing means to do eagerly what it takes. So here's the question. Are you willing to do whatever it takes to stay on the positive side of addiction? In other words, are you ready to do eagerly whatever it takes to stay on the positive side of addiction? And the words to do bring us to number 3. To do equals action. Successful recovery and a successful life because of recovery is a program of action. It's not for people who need it. It's not for people who want it. It's for people who get off their you-know-whats and do it. Success in anything is reserved for those who take action. Good things don't come to those who wait. Good things come to those who begin with a purpose and then do what it takes to make that purpose and new possibilities a reality. Number 4 is personal responsibility. Nobody can want this for me more than I want it for myself. That goes for you too. Personal responsibility means that I take ownership for my results and the thoughts and actions necessary to create those results. One of the biggest pitfalls I've seen over the last 20 plus years is that too many people sit around and complain for results that they don't have, for actions that they don't take. Take ownership of your recovery date and create a system that works for you. Ask for help when you need it, but understand, success begins and ends with you. Number 5, control your emotions. Don't be controlled by your emotions. Now, this is one of the big ones. There are plenty of things you're going to do and have to do wherever you are on your journey in recovery. Now, it doesn't matter whether you've been around 10 minutes, 10 days, or 10 years. Understand that not everything we must do to be successful is going to be something you like or feel good about doing. Let me say that again. Understand that not everything you must do to be successful is going to be something you like or feel good about doing. But remember this, If you learn to attach a positive emotion to the results you want, then the things you don't feel good about are just a temporary means to an end. Look at your recovery like strengthening a muscle. You may not like the exercise part, but the results of building a strong, healthy body are worth it. Don't be thrown off track by not liking something. You don't have to like going to a meeting, calling your sponsor, or doing service work, but the results are worth the price you pay. There are so many new feelings that are confusing and unfamiliar. I had to understand early on, and still do today, that I am going to a place I have never been before. So how am I supposed to know how I'm going to feel being there? Now, it's perfectly normal for our minds to be in fight or flight mentality about new things. It's how we protect ourselves. But the new, exciting life and recovery, and because of recovery, come to those who are willing to adjust their thoughts and actions and trust the process. Remember, it's all a process. Make progress in the process. Number 6 and number 7 of 7. It begins with number 6, personal growth, and comes full circle to number 7, spiritual connection and purpose. Let's jump on number 6 here, personal growth. Once you're on the path of personal growth, there really is no turning back. I mean, sure, you can always go back to what you were doing, but the suffering it causes will be way more intense. It's painful to not know, but true suffering comes when you know and just don't do. In another video, I explained the 3 distinct phases of recovery. It takes personal growth to move from phase 1 to phase 2 and then into phase 3. Growing personally brings about greater results and realized promises than choosing to stay in the same place. I can only make it to the next place by outgrowing my present place. And this brings us to number 7 of 7, spiritual connection and purpose. You know, I mentioned earlier the phrase purpose for my recovery and a purpose for my life because of my recovery. Spiritual connection will always lead to a higher purpose. This purpose, this higher purpose, always has tied to it some level of service. For each of us, that service is different. But there is one thing to be sure of as you continue on this path of personal growth and spiritual connection. The greatest level of service I can provide to someone who is suffering from the disease of addiction is to be someone who no longer suffers. There are only 2 kinds of people: those who are willing to make a decision, take the action, be personally responsible for their own results by controlling their emotions, and grow personally and spiritually enough to serve others, and those who don't. Which one are you? That's the end of the video today. Have a great day.